Time Spent in Los Angeles, the tune from the Dawes album, The Nothing Is Wrong, but played here live here. Nice live version this morning on WNCW. Thanks for doing that tune, and thanks for coming here, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Nice to have you here. You're in the area for a show tonight in Asheville at the Orange Peel, and boy, that song is just, it's a great one. One of a number of great ones on this one, and we love the album North Hills from, 3 years ago, too.
Yeah.
As well. Cool. Now that tune, did you put all these tunes together, and did you kind of get the feeling like that was going to be one that most folks were going to really kind of wrap their heads around? It seems to be the case.
Yeah, that was kind of the idea, because I wrote that song in Nashville when I was working with John McCauley from Deer Tick and Matt Vasquez from Delta Spirit on this album we did called Middle Brother, and I just, at first I was like, well, maybe this will be a Middle Brother song because I wrote it down here. But then I thought, I feel like we'd get more miles out of it if I saved it for Dawes, just because Middle Brother was such a quick experience because everyone's so busy with their own respective acts. So we actually, so that was, it was very, it was a real conscious thing. Like, let's see what we can get out of this song if we, put more work into it. For me, it's L.A. because that's where I grew up. But the idea that I was sort of fascinated with was how our hometown sort of shape us, and how there always tends to be this ineffable quality that we can all recognize in another person, but we can't necessarily put our finger on or put words to. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's L.A. But I would say would be just as true for anywhere else.
Yeah. It's Taylor Goldsmith talking with us this morning, and the whole band is here. Tay Strathairn on the keyboards. Thanks for being here. Griffin Goldsmith on the drums there, and singing harmonies with Tay on that one. And we have Wiley Gelber on the bass. When did Dawes kind of come together?
I guess 6 years ago. Yeah, something like that. We got together around LA, and we're playing around LA for about 8 months or so before we figured out where we were going to make our first record, or even if we were going to make our first record, if anyone was going to let us. But yeah, I'd say like 6 years.
And you kind of formed out of some other incarnations too, right? I mean, I imagine.
Yeah, Wiley and I were in a band before Dawes, and then Griffin was always a part of that. And when that band broke up, it was clear that Griffin was going to be part of whatever was going to happen next, because the only reason why I wasn't before was just because he was a little younger and still going to school. And then we met Tay.
Yeah.
Because we were looking for a fourth guy.
And what was it? Did you have kind of a similar sound, kind of all when you first started making music, you guys, or was it radically different? Was it like a punk thing?
It wasn't radically different. It definitely has changed a lot, but you can hear, it's a progression. You can hear the later songs of our previous band becoming these songs,
Yeah. Yeah, but of course, all sorts of different sounds out of California, Southern California, that you could have kind of gravitated towards. But I guess the Laurel Canyon sound is maybe a sound that maybe.
Yeah, like in terms of it being a term that like references acts that we would like have heard or listened to at some point, then yeah. But in terms of Laurel Canyon being like any sort of hub at this point would definitely not be really accurate, just because there's not really a whole lot of music getting played out there or anything. It seems to be more L.A. in general, rather than Laurel Canyon.
But we've kind of, at least over here, we've heard of that sound, kind of like the Bakersfield sound or something. And
right.
Back in the day, the Laurel Canyon sound was what Graham Parsons, maybe David Crosby, some of the names associated with it. And is there still sort of a lingering kind of vestige of like, yeah, this was a sound, and now it's
they have definitely
ghost town?
Yeah, like there's. I feel like there's certain songwriters that are coming out of LA at this point. That's really cool, because there seems to be a real like focus on like the sanctity of a song that hasn't been in LA for a while, it seems like. But I guess that would be the case. If you find the right people in any city, that's like there's real it just seems like everything's so wide at this point. You can find any genre anywhere.
Yeah. You got some local ties with Rutherford County here. I don't know if you guys knew that, but Jonathan Wilson.
Yeah.
So Jonathan Wilson, a guy from Forest City, kind of like right here next door.
He was from Forest City,
yep,
really?
Yep. And
wow, that's where we were yesterday.
Yep.
That's
cool.
so wild.
He's Forest City's just kind of like, right. We're as close to Forest City as Spindale, basically. We're kind of right in between the two towns. And so Jonathan Wilson, he's put out his own music, but he produced this one and
Both,
North Hills? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. How did you guys meet up? I guess he's been living out in Laurel Canyon area or something.
Yeah, he lived out there for a while, and we just knew him from around town, and he he really helped us out. He produced our first record without ever hearing any of our songs. It was really he really had a lot of faith in us, and I think it obviously went well, but if it hadn't, I'm sure he would have been like, okay, thanks for cutting these 3 songs. Like, I'll see you guys later. But instead, we stayed for 2 weeks, and we made North Hills in just 2 weeks. But yeah, he's been a major part of everything that's ever happened for this band. He's one of the most incredible musicians we've ever met.
He's like opening for Jackson Brown, I think, on some
He's
stuff.
on
He
tour
was
with
right now. He's out
Petty.
with Tom Petty. Yeah.
Yeah, like he's got his own band, right? Playing, opening for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers on their European tour.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And then speaking of Jackson Brown, he's featured on this album, and I think you guys are opening up for Jackson sometime this summer out in Hollywood or something.
Yeah, we're doing some stuff with him. We did it'll be at the Hollywood Bowl actually I guess in a couple weeks. And then I think we'll play a little bit together at Newport Folk Festival and stuff. But yeah, he's also been really great to us and really taking us under his wing, and obviously we're big fans, so it's pretty cool.
What was it like to actually cut a tune or two with him on your record?
It was amazing. We didn't really think it would happen. We kind of made the whole record, and then when it came time to mix, we did it at his studio, and we were like, "Would you want to sing on this one song?" And he said, "Sure." So it was kind of after the fact, but it was incredible to be in the room watching Jackson Brown singing on a song that, we wrote.
Cool. His name might come up later today, folks, when Sarah Watkins is in here, because he was on her record, and she's opening up for him, too, on a big old acoustic tour, including shows in Greenville and I think Charlotte, folks, coming up in July, Jackson Brown's acoustic tour with Sarah Watkins. But Dawes is here live right now, and you guys want to do another tune. Is that song about a particular person?
I guess with that one, it was sort of about I'd always wanted to meet someone that I could get to know, real deeply and real down to their core, like know every single thing about them. But I feel like as time went on, I started to realize how impossible that was. So rather than have that be what I was looking for, it was more like, how about someone that could help me deal with myself, rather than someone that'll reveal all the world's secrets to me. So I guess that's what that song's about.
Talk a little bit, if you would, Taylor, about your songwriting process. Lyrically, obviously Dylan's got to be some influence on you, and there was some big Bob Dylan anniversary thing, a big article I was reading, and you were quoted as talking about how Bob Dylan's songwriting structure really kind of hit a chord with you, pardon the pun, but it was like how he filters down to a title from maybe a very lyrical, big, lengthy song. Yeah. If that was something that, one of the things that really connects you with Dylan's songwriting?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like like a lot of people will. I mean, everyone has their own ways of approaching a song, and there's so many great ways to do it. But I feel like the strength of his tunes is he would take a title and then force the verses to like kind of wrap back up into it. It's sort of like you're reading a good book, and there's this beautiful paragraph that like the last sentence sort of illuminates the whole paragraph that came before it. And when he goes on this long thing, and he's saying all these things, but then at the end of each verse, getting back to a simple twist of fate or something, it makes the whole thing so much more compelling, and it's also really hard to do. I feel like it's sort of there's lots of ways to write a song. There's a lot of hard things to do within writing a song, but I feel like that was something where it's sort of like posing a challenge. Like, how do you keep something linear, but really at times even conversational, and yet work as a song, and then also have this rhyme scheme set up so that you're still getting back to this certain phrase or certain word, and it's really incredible to see songwriters do that, because there are other songwriters, like one of my other favorite songwriters, like a guy like Conor Oberst. He just kind of goes and goes, and there's no there's often not choruses, or there's choruses but with different lyrics, and so it doesn't really do that. It doesn't use that same device, and I think there's a certain strength in that even as well that's that stands on its own. But in terms of and sometimes I even try to write a song or two like that. But for the most part, it's always been really trying to find a compelling line or title that I can really that this song can sort of exist based on.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other artists that really just kind of gelled it for you that I want to become a songwriter?
Yeah, I think when our other band was breaking up and I was sort of figuring out if I wanted to be in a rock band, or I think I was really I was even depressed. I didn't know if I wanted to do it anymore, and I think I kept thinking, like, do I want to just, because what the whole band was a lot of just there wasn't really a lot to say. It was more just the songs were more of like an excuse to get up on stage and play rock and roll music. It wasn't really like there was any point to the tunes. And so after that broke up, I was like, do I really want to do this anymore? Do I want to kind of act like I'm like a 17-year-old for forever? And which is cool, but and I would admire that of anybody. But I just sort of felt like I wanted to potentially offer something the way that my favorite songwriters had offered to me. I feel like guys like Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen and Will Oldham really played a role in even shaping my sense of right and wrong and how to deal with a situation, and so I really, if that would never be afforded to me, I at least wanted to make an effort at trying to do that.
And then the melodies in Dawes, or excuse me, the melodies for sure too, but the harmonizing you guys do, it's one of the things in a Dawes song that really just kind of hits me like a freight train, like, wow. It's just like, bam, that was perfect. And I was wondering if that gels for you when the melodies come out. Is it like an aha moment, a big click, or is it is it all three of you collaborating, or when you're writing the song, Taylor, is it just like, okay, so Tay's going to do this part, and then I know Griffin will hit this line well?
Well, sometimes it's a struggle, and sometimes it's like really clear what it'll be. Like sometimes it's like I'll even have to change the melody in order to make sure that we can do a 3-part harmony, because what I'm doing melodically is like, too big of jumps or whatever, so it just sound awkward. So like sometimes even the melody has to change. So there's definitely a lot of like fine tuning and stuff in terms of getting those parts right. But then other times, like a song like When My Time Comes, it was really clear what those parts were going to be, because they were inherent to the guitar part. So it's sort of like all you got to do is make out the voicings that I'm playing, and that's what we'll end up singing.
Cool. It's Dawes on WNCW, wrapping up their session with a song that wraps up their album from last year, Nothing Is Wrong. Such a dynamic song in more ways than one. It's funny how you can hear a song lots of times, but then all of a sudden it kind of hits you again like that freight train, that song, the line about, the verse about the old man in the buffet line. It's just like, wow. So cool. Thanks for doing that. Thanks for coming in, guys.
Thanks for having us.
And let's go to, I think, another act that you guys are familiar with, Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros. You know them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tay was in the band for a while.
Yep. Were you on the new one here?
No, I was on the first record.
The first one. Okay. Yeah. We loved it. And now they're back with Here, and this is Man on Fire on WMCW.
Cool.
I'm a man on fire, walking through your street with one guitar